Welcome, everyone, and Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us today for our Career Coaches Insights webinar, the first for 2026. Today's topic, Reclaim Your Time, with career coach extraordinaire and beloved Bruin, Sami Toussi. My name is Amy Rueda, and I serve as Senior Executive Director for Professional Programs and Services and your host for today's webinar. First, let me take a quick moment to thank our Alumni Association sustaining donors. It is with your help that we are able to strengthen the Bruin community with career programming like this. For some general webinar housekeeping, we will have time at the end of the program for Q&A with our speaker. So please use the Q&A function below to submit your questions. We will be recording the event and will send out the recording when it is available. Now, to start off our program, I am excited to introduce our speaker for today, Sami Toussi. Sami Toussi, published author of The Success Coach and the founder of a global consultancy and creative studio, Toussi International. Sami's perspective is truly international. She began her business in the Middle East and has since led over 70 workshops across the globe, from London and Lisbon to Dubai and Bali, for organizations like Meta, Hello Sunshine, and Alvarez and Marsal. Earlier in her career, she led marketing efforts for Shell Oil during their expansion in Iraq, a very high-pressured role that required building strategy in one of the world's most complex markets. Today, Sami has coached over 500 clients worldwide, including both corporate leaders and entrepreneurs. Her mission is to change how people communicate their strengths and personal brands. She helps her clients move from playing small to mastering their leadership presence, implementing scalable systems, and maintaining a sharp competitive edge. By merging big picture creativity and structured execution, Sami serves as a true thought partner for those ready to scale their impact. Join me in welcoming Sami.
Thank you, Amy, for the intro. Let me go ahead and share my screens and let's get going today. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. Before we dive in, I want to invite you to gift yourself the space of presence for the next hour. If you're able, please put your phones on silent or do not disturb so you can fully engage with this time. This will be an interactive session. I'll be walking you through the RPP method for about half our time, and the other half will be to reflect, brainstorm, and really start planning 2026 before it gets away from us. So I want to do something special for the UCLA community. I'm giving away a 60-minute deep dive coaching session worth $400, but I'm also including a full LinkedIn audit. I'll personally go through your profile and tell you exactly what to change to get noticed by the right people. All you have to do today is snap a photo of this slide or any of the slides within the next hour and that you find helpful, and tag it on Instagram or tag me on LinkedIn at Sami Toussi to enter. Okay, so before we dive in, I want to share a little bit about why I'm here. I moved from Houston to Dubai for a management role in oil and gas. And on paper, I was the success story. But internally, I was navigating a kind of isolation that's not really talked about. I was often the youngest and only woman in the room. Presenting to senior partners like BP or Shell, I could feel the silent doubt, the question of whether I actually belonged at the table. But the truth is, being an outsider wasn't new to me. As an Iranian American growing up in Houston in the 90s, I never fully felt like I belonged. And at home, I internalized a message early on that my value was tied to my output. I felt like I had to be more polished, more accomplished, more perfect, just to feel enough. So I learned to shapeshift, to mute parts of myself, to blend, to adapt, until one day in Dubai, everything cracked. I was delivering slides at our annual board meeting and I had held it together. I performed, smiled, I delivered, and then I walked into a bathroom stall and I completely fell apart. Not because I was weak or I wasn't excelling at my job, but because I was exhausted from performing a version of myself that I wasn't. In that moment, I realized I spent so much energy trying to belong in those rooms, and I didn't want other people to feel like that, to have to live like that. So in 2016, I went all in as a coach. I started seeing the same pattern everywhere, especially with founders, leaders, high performers, smart people, capable people, people who had built impressive careers or businesses but were exhausted from constantly proving themselves, from overthinking decisions and questioning their own instincts. People who didn't need more hustle, they needed clarity. They needed alignment. They needed someone who could see both the human side and the strategic side. And that's the work I do now. So today I want to take you back to a method I first developed in 2016. 10 years ago, I was questioning who I was, what my purpose was, and my priorities felt completely scattered. I knew something needed to shift, so I intentionally started seeking out spaces that helped me reconnect. And through those experiences, I met people from all walks of life and slowly started rediscovering what actually mattered. From that season came a simple but powerful 3-step process that helped me get clarity and take back control of my priorities. And that's the same framework I use with my clients today. So, first, what we're going to do is we're going to reflect and look at how satisfied you're feeling in all the different areas of your life through the wheel. Second, I'll walk you through a new way of thinking about time management called the RPM method. And third, we'll prioritize what truly matters to you based on what we uncover. So you can start honoring not just the shoulds, but also the musts in your life. So this takes us to our first step. So everyone should have a link to the workbook. It's a fillable workbook. The first page is the Wheel of Life. It's divided into 8 key areas that represent the different parts of your life. So this was my wheel back in 2016. At the time, I was living in Dubai. I was working 100-hour weeks. And again, what looked like a high-powered, sexy job from the outside wasn't actually aligned with my long-term vision. So while I was succeeding professionally, it came at the cost of my family, my health, my boundaries. My wheel was deeply imbalanced and I felt it. And that realization became a turning point for me. You might already know what's working, but until you name it honestly, you don't realize how much it's running your life. So, this is my wheel today. And now it's time to rate your wheel. So I'm going to ask you some questions. We'll go through each segment and go ahead and rate yourself on a scale of 1, which is the least satisfied, to 10 being the most satisfied. So in the segment of finance, ask yourself, am I satisfied with how much I'm making? Am I satisfied with how much I'm saving? Then personal growth. Ask yourself questions like, are you actively learning something that excites you? Have you invested in developing a skill that future you will thank you for? That might be the book you keep meaning to read or the language you used to love learning, that creative part of yourself that you keep postponing. Rate yourself there on a scale of 1 to 10. And health. As you're rating health, I want you to think beyond just, do I work out or not? I break this category into 3 segments: nutrition, movement, and energy. So ask yourself honestly, do you have energy throughout the day? Are you mostly just feeling exhausted? Are you actually resting or are you scrolling? Do you feel connected to your body or mostly disconnected from it? Family. In family, you can ask yourself questions like, are you present with the people you love? Or are you physically there but mentally elsewhere? How often do you initiate connection instead of waiting for it? Rate yourself there on a scale of 1 to 10. And time management. as you can see, this is an area that I personally need to work on. You want to ask yourself questions like, do you control your time or does time control you? Is it difficult to meet deadlines? Are you feeling overcommitted? Right? Do you feel like you're in control of your calendar or does that calendar, or are you constantly reacting to everyone else's priorities first? Social life, right? Do you feel genuinely supported by the people around you? Do you feel seen and understood in your closest relationships? Your friendship circles, your relationships, do they energize you or do they drain you? Now, attitude. Attitude is the main pillar because depending on how you rate this, it really impacts all the other areas of the wheel. Every area does, but this one is key. So thinking about, right, on an average week, are you more positive or negative? When something stressful happens, do you react or respond? Do you trend toward self-compassion or self-criticism? This isn't about being positive all the time, it's just about some awareness. And last but not least, career. So I like to break down career into three segments. One, it feels like a chore, right? It's hard to get out of bed. You don't like what you're doing. And two, it's a career where you're building the skills and experiences for where you want to go. Or three, right? It's your mission. You love what you do. You feel like you are living in your natural talents and it falls within your unique abilities. You feel like time just passes by when you do those things. So go ahead and rate, right, your areas here. And the next step is we're going to reflect and essentially connect the dots. Right, so now that you've rated each area, in the chat, we'll send a poll on how many of you rated 3 or more areas at a 6 or below, 2 or more areas, or 1 or more area. Wonderful. So go ahead and fill that out. Okay. So it should be coming through. Okay, so I'm seeing 53% voted 3 or more areas at a 5 or below, while at 27% were at 2 or more areas and 20% at 1 or more area. Okay, so know that you are not alone. I've been using this wheel for 8 years now, but if you have some low numbers, it's okay. It just means also that you're ready to tackle the next step, which is the planning step. Um, Take the next 2 minutes now to reflect on the 1 or 2 areas that you would like to prioritize for the rest of our time today. And ask yourself, what is actually preventing you from feeling like a 9 or 10 in that area? Write down 1 or 2 notes. Not in a self-judgment way, but with curiosity. If anyone wants to share in the chat too, since I can't see any of you, that'd be good. Before we move on, because the idea is ideally, right, we want to have a fully balanced wheel. We want our wheel, finance, I'm hearing finance and health. Okay. Career is coming up. Okay. Fantastic. Let's let's move into then step two. Step two is the RPM. So when you look at people who operate at a high level, you know, Steve Jobs, the Picassos of the world, Serena Williams, Taylor Swift, Oprah's, right? The common thread isn't just talent alone, it's clarity. They know what they're working towards, they know why it matters, and they structure their lives around that. So, our second step today is not just any sort of time management system, it's a thinking based system. It's a second page of the workbook called the RPM. So, we're looking at results, purpose, method here. The research at the Dominican of University of California shows that people who write down their goals are up to 40% more likely to achieve them. Not because writing is magic, but because clarity creates action. That's why we're writing down this today. We're moving things out of our minds and onto paper so that your 2026 priorities are clear and you're able to reclaim some of that time. So, RPM. R stands for results. You want to be thinking about what's the actual outcome that you're after, not the to-do list, not the busy work, the result. Before you open your laptop in the morning, rather than what do I want to do today and what should I be doing, it's what is the outcome that I want from today. That's what you should be asking yourself. What's your outcome? The second part is purpose. This one is so important because this is where the emotional juice and follow through is going to get you through when the challenges come up, right? Every person you see who is successful knows their why. It's what keeps you going when motivation drops, when things get hard, and when discipline is required. So, why does this goal matter? Why does this career matter? Why does this version of your life matter to you? I was working through the RPM with a client recently. They run a 5-person office, they have a family at home, and they know that when they work out in the morning, everything for them changes. Their focus is sharper, their energy is better, their mood is different. They show up stronger everywhere. But the only time that works for them is at 5 a.m. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to wake up at 5 a.m. because they're excited to wake up at 5 a.m. You wake up at 5 a.m. because you care about how you feel in your body. You wake up at 5 a.m. because you care about the kind of parent you are. You care about the kind of leader you are and the kind that you are building. That's purpose in action. The goal isn't going to the gym. The purpose is I want to feel strong. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel confident. I want to be the best dad. And then last but not least is method, right? So the plan, the massive action plan, which stands for MAP. You want to be thinking we go from idea to intention to execution. Not someday, but what day, what time, what hour. The power isn't just in thinking about this, the power is in writing it down clearly. Making sure in your method that third step that you're being smart, specific, measurable, you can evaluate the progress, right? It's aligned with your long-term objectives. It's realistic, there's an end date, and it's time-based to make sure that you're getting it done. So, I'll give you a real example of my own RPM here. And then I want you to fill yours out. So, I'm focusing on that top focus area for me, which is time management, which is a 5. Right, my current score is a 5, but I want it to be a 10, right? That's my priority for 2026. The reason this matters to me so much is because it directly connects to my values around freedom, around growth, and success. right? I'm building a business alongside everything else I do, and I genuinely need more intentional time to work on the business, not just in the business. So instead of just saying, I want better time management in a vague way, I asked, what would that actually look like in my real life? For me, that means protecting my mornings. It means, which is my most creative time, it means waking up earlier, keeping my phone in another room, right? I know my distractions, I pinpointed what's stopping me. And it's also committing to one most important task, not 100 tasks, but one meaningful one. This one's really big for me because I can overcommit and overpack my calendar with things that are already working but don't need as much nourishment on my wheel. So that one's big. I need to be intentional. I'm a type 3 Enneagram that likes to achieve for achievement's sake. So I want to make sure that I'm focusing on what's going to move the needle forward within my business. This isn't about making life busier, it's about designing my life around what actually matters to me. So I want you to take the next 5 minutes. We have like 5 to 7 minutes or so. Choose your number one focus. If you have time, you can do number two as well. Write the results that you're looking for, the purpose, and the massive action plan, right? The steps that you can do. And with the results and purpose, you want to almost like manifest it into being now. So if you see here, I've said, I am a bold, decisive leader. I have protected, or I protect uninterrupted space to build the life and business that I want. I'm going to turn on some music for us. Amy, let me know in case you can't hear it. And I'll set a timer for 7 minutes.
Comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Comes the sun, I say it's alright.
ont baissé les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, qu'il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, a juré pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi mon cœur qui bat. Des nuits d'amour à plus finir, un grand bonheur qui prend sa place, des ennuis, des chagrins s'effacent, heureux, heureux, à en mourir. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est toi pour moi, moi pour toi dans la vie. Tu me l'as dit, as juré.
Okay, we have about 1 more minute. So go ahead and wrap up.
Dès que je t'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi mon cœur qui
In the town where I was born, lived a man who sailed to sea.
All right. So if you haven't finished yet, the great thing is you have lifetime access to this RPM. So let's move into our next slide, which is focusing. Okay, so as we all know, we live in a world of distractions. Through these 5 power principles of success, which make up focus, this idea is to help you just hone in on what's important. So the first one is forgetting the things that don't matter. As a recovering people pleaser, this one is extra hard for me. For years, I said yes to everything because I thought it was an opportunity. What I didn't realize is that every unnecessary yes was pulling me further away from my actual goals. My calendar looked full, my life looked social, but I was tired, I was distracted, and not building anything meaningful. And that was the wake-up call. Saying no is a muscle. It feels awkward at first, uncomfortable, almost rude. But the more you say it, the stronger it gets. And now I've gotten into the new habit of asking myself one simple question before I commit to anything, which is this aligned with what I'm trying to build? And I live by this rule. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I share it with my clients all the time. If you aren't willing to say yes now, even if it's weeks away, you probably won't want to do it then either. The second step around the five principles is doing one thing at a time. Studies show that multitasking leads to a decline in critical thinking, short-term memory loss, and researchers show that switching between tasks can cost 40% of someone's productive time. I'm also guilty of having way too many tabs open at once, from Google Docs to Instagram to my text messages to Slack. But I've seen the impact on my life. I'm a case study of short-term memory loss. There's many times where I have been looking for my sunglasses for 10 minutes when I've just realized that they're on my head. I've experimented with tools like the Pomodoro method, which it sounds simple, but it genuinely really changed how I work. So my brain's feeling calmer, my thinking is clearer, and I get more done in less time. The third principle is clarify. Clarify means stepping back and looking honestly at your behavior, not asking, am I busy, but asking, are my actions actually aligned with the outcome that I want? I had a recent session with a client who's a classic Enneagram Type 3, an achiever. He's actually in this webinar right now. He's brilliant, he's driven, and he's constantly in motion. And the growth work was simple, but it was uncomfortable, which is get off the hamster wheel. Stop mistaking activity for progress. Research in performance psychology tells us that end goal setting consistently shows the clarity of priorities, not volume of effort, is what actually drives meaningful results. I like to run through this wheel exercise that we went through today at least once a quarter to identify where there needs to be more intention set in place. The fourth principle is unsubscribe. Unsubscribe means taking space from distraction, especially our screens. In fact, recent reports show that the average American checks their phone 186 times a day. That's almost once in every 5 minutes. Not just that, but we're also spending 4 to 5 hours on our phones each day. That's a total of 80 full days a year. 80 full days. I just needed to drop that one more time. I'm not standing here as someone who's cracked this perfectly, right? I'm still texting all day, but I am someone who's deeply aware of the cost of constant connectivity, the mental tabs, the background stress, the feeling that your brain never fully shuts off. But this awareness is also what led me to apps like Forest. It's where you plant a virtual tree. Promise I'm not affiliated with them. Maybe I should be, but while you focus and you leave the app, the tree dies. It's a very small thing, but it's a powerful reminder of how often we interrupt ourselves without realizing it. And then last but not least, principle, serve. Know your why, right? Remember your purpose, your meaning, that emotional juice, which is your motivator, the motivation behind your actions. If you know your why, you'll get your butt out of bed at 5 a.m. to work out before the day starts. Okay. Last but not least, before we move into Q&A, is we are going to prioritize, which is one of my favorite tools. It is a non-negotiable list, a contract that you make with yourself. The most important person in your whole life is you. We will be spending more time with ourselves than anyone else. So think about looking back now at your wheel, at your RPM. What are 3 to 5 things that are not just a should, that are a must in your life in order to feel more satisfied, more fulfilled, more connected? Mine, and I do want everyone to take a little bit of time to write them out. I'll just share mine to give you some ideas. I fell within the different parts of the wheel because ideally we want to make space and purpose and intention in every segment with a little bit leaning more towards time management because that is my area of focus. So one thing is putting my phone on do not disturb during focus time. Um, Daily movement. I know for me that if I move in my day, if I'm, at a soul cycle class in the morning or going hiking kind of late afternoon, I feel so much better than if I don't. So that movement, those endorphins really support the rest of my day. Personal growth, morning routine, an eye mask, a dog walk, a coffee, like a 3-minute plank to Senorita by Camila Cabello and Shawn Menendez, and doing my RPM, focusing on what matters to me, focusing on my result, my why, my methods. FaceTiming my parents once a week. They're in Houston still. So making sure that I jump on a FaceTime and I speak to them. And then that was really big when I was living overseas. And then time management on the business Fridays, really carving out that time to block off any meetings and work more strategically on the business. So I'm going to take 5 minutes. Again, we'll turn on some more Beatles. Go ahead and write down your top 5 non-negotiables. And when you're ready in the chat, share with all of us your one, the number one for you.
Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs of every head he's had the pleasure to know, and all the people that come and go stop and say hello. On the corner is a banker with a motor car, the little children laughing him behind his back, and the banker never wears a mask in the pouring rain. Very strange. Penny Lane is in my
And I just give you this dedicated space to think through what's most important in your life in terms of prioritizing, and try to be smart with some of the goals that we set in here too.
Penny Lane, there is a fireman with an hourglass, and in his pocket is a portrait of the Queen. He likes to keep his fire engine clean. It's a clean machine. Penny Lane is in my ear and in my eye.
Hey, time management. Delete, redelete, redelete. Instagram from phone and phone on do not disturb during work and dinner. I love that. Something I've been trying to do more of is just leaving my phone in the other room or in the car when I'm at dinner.
Though she feels as if she's in a play, she is anyway.
Someone said productivity. Kevin, I find myself wasting time. I say that in quotes because often I'm just trying to escape and cope with the many stress factors in life. However, on days when I get a lot of things done, I feel so much better and I want more days like that. Okay. So how do we turn that into a SMART goal? Gratitude. Yes, expressing gratitude on a daily basis. Focusing on the good. Okay, just about 2 more minutes. And try and prioritize these as well. So what's the number, like after you've written them out, the number 1, 2, and 3. 5, when I first created this list, I had 10. I realized it was far too many. Even 1 is enough sometimes. There's a lot of Beatles. Lisa said, I've been so absorbed in my own self-improvement that I've neglected my relationships.
Nothing you can sing that can't be sung.
Yes. Yeah, good notes. I'm making a goal to see at least one friend a month and see family more often. It's a great goal. Connections. Career, Eli. Dedicate 4 to 6 hours throughout the week looking for fulfilling careers that align with my values and applying to new jobs. Yeah, looking for a job can feel like a full-time job sometimes too. It's a good one. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up the non-negotiable list. If you haven't already, make sure that you sign it. Right at the very bottom is your signature. It's a contract that you're making with yourself. Again, the most important person in your life is you. And take a picture of your non-negotiable list. You might lose this PDF. I'm just going to turn off the music. Sorry. You might just love the Beatles. You might lose this PDF, but I know you won't lose your phone. Yes. And then reward yourself. So depending on the person and the difficulty of the habit, it can take anywhere between 18 to 254 days to become automatic. UCL did a study stating that it would be 66 days, but it really depends on the individual and the difficulty of the habit. So reward yourself. Take yourself out for ice cream. Go get your nails done. Go to a movie with your partner or a friend. And then make sure that you have someone in your life that can hold you accountable, because these are either new habits or habits that have been difficult to establish. And another idea too, which isn't on this list, but is habit stacking. So if you are already in a routine of, let's say, brushing your teeth in the morning, then you can add on a gratitude journal because it's already part of what you do. Okay. So we have gone through the wheel, which was a reflection point, the RPM, which is looking at planning through a thinking-based system, not just a time management system, and the non-negotiable lists, the musts, not just the shoulds in your life. So now you might be thinking, cool, this was a great 45 minutes, Sami. Now what? What is this? There's an old Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time to plant a tree is right now in 2026. So I've shared a lot with you today, from the boardrooms in Dubai to the tools I use to support my clients reclaim their time. But I also know that sometimes the hardest part of leadership is just having someone in your corner who actually gets it. So if anything I said today resonated for you, if you feel like maybe you've been shape-shifting or you're just ready to finally own your edge, let's talk. I don't just say this as a coach. I say this as someone who has seen what works at the highest levels. I was recently hired by AT&T as the brand specialist for over 2,000 female leaders at Reese Witherspoon's Hello Sunshine Shine Away event. I've audited hundreds of profiles for senior leaders, for business owners, and I know exactly how to turn a standard brand into a competitive edge. And I want to bring that same lens to you. If you book a consult with me today, there's no fee, there's absolutely no obligation. I'm not here to sell you. I'm just here to support this UCLA community, and I want to hear your story. And as a bonus, I'll provide a 15-minute LinkedIn audit to make sure you're set up for next year. This year, for 2026. If you feel called to that next step, the QR code is right here. You can just point your phone at it, and I'd truly love to meet you. So I think we are ready for Q&A.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I was literally walking away with my year plan, like ready to go.
Love
That
it.
feels amazing. But something you should know, and this is the first time this has happened in the webinar series that I've hosted. You got a shout out in the chat room by a guest, Danitza, who met you at Hello Sunshine and
Ah,
and says, "You are worth your weight in gold."
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Denitza. You're amazing.
Fabulous. Well,
Awesome.
while we transition to the Q&A portion with Sami, please take a couple of minutes and fill out our survey for us if you wouldn't mind. The information really does help guide the strategies we take in finding relevant current topics and the speakers that are absolutely killing it at the best of the elite level, which is how we have Sami joining us today and another great speaker next month as well. If you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A. And I have some folks submitted in advance, so I'll do a little combo. Let's see. Here's how do you transition sectors, right? So it's part of the career component of the wheel. Now what?
How do you transition sectors? Okay. First, I would take an inventory of everything you've ever done, your experience, your skills, your education, and then think through what activities fall within your unique ability bucket. So those are activities, verbs, where you feel a sense of never-ending room for improvement. You feel like time just passes by, where you feel passionate and you feel incredibly skilled. And think through, where can I translate those into another sector? That's what I would recommend there. And then also, Amy, I noticed someone said in the chat that the QR code wasn't working.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I just wanted to make sure to send that through then, if that's the case, if it's not working.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Is it in the slides? Because I think we're sending the slides out.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's in the slides. Let me just send it to all the people. Can I send it to everyone in here? I don't know if they can see me. Host. Oh, no, those are just us. I just put the link in there.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Todd, we have a question from our guest, Todd. Many job seekers report they are submitting hundreds of resumes and getting few, if any, responses. What do you feel has changed in the job seeking in the last couple of years? And how does one stand out from the crowd when most jobs on LinkedIn show hundreds of applicants?
Yeah, good question, Todd. So I think, sorry, I'm going to read that one more time. Many job seekers report they are submitting hundreds of resumes. Yeah, so I would try and not overly focus on how many applicants there are, and focus more on making sure that your LinkedIn is set up for success, which means, how is it standing out? Whether that's you have a portfolio with your case studies, or you start to just have some like chats going on with people on LinkedIn, like informational conversations that you can have, tapping into the UCLA Alumni Network. I would less focus on that than like how many applicants are applying to each job, and really like focusing on you and your network.
On that same question, this thing came up a couple of times, and it is the mental health question, right? So it was posed in two different ways, which is one, how do you navigate unemployment after a year of struggling, right? And the other way it's being asked is, how do you reconnect with your
Amy, I
confidence?
lost you.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, there's a theme that came through
Yeah.
around a mental health issue. I'm going to read the two questions because they're similar.
Okay.
And they're very, very important, especially right now in this day and age. How would you navigate unemployment after a year of struggling to find work, coupled with How do you reconnect with your confidence when you feel stuck or discouraged?
Okay. Um, so the confidence piece, what I normally do with clients, especially when we're focusing on like building their brand and owning their competitive edge, is I ask my people. We connect with their network and we say, what do you find as my strengths? What are some of my natural talents that you might not be able to see yourself? And then just like a business has reviews, those are reviews that you have for life that you can keep stock of. And so when you're starting to feel, your self-esteem has been hit, let's say you've you're in the third job interview and you've just gotten a no, you look back at those mini reviews from your people. This could include like colleagues, friends, partners, and focus on your strengths for the confidence. And then that second question.
I was just about to read it.
Oh, yeah.
How do you recommend managing larger goals, things that require long-term activities rather than organizing one's day to day?
Yeah. Well, a project management software system I love is Trello. It has a really strong user experience, user interface. It's very easy to like navigate. So that's one. I'd say thinking through putting dates, internal deadlines for yourself on these larger goals and like breaking them down into chunks and maybe even different categories that need to be completed.
Fabulous. Sammy, that brings us to the end of our time. This has just been so content rich, I have to tell you.
Great.
I would love it if you all would help me thank Sammy for being with us here today. And I also want to thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us. Let me announce next month's speaker. Very excited. World class career coach Bill Benson will be joining us about planting today for future successes, the psychology of career breakthroughs. I think the timing couldn't be better.
I
Thank you,
agree.
everyone. Again, if you wouldn't mind, please take a moment and fill out our survey. We would very much appreciate it. Thanks so much and go Bruins.
Go Bruins.